Hey, welcome back to the garage, everyone. All right, so we've got our parts in the mail. Just came in this morning. So I have you may recognize that. That is high pressure fuel injection lines off an OM617 Mercedes turbo diesel engine. We're going to test this thing out, make sure these things fit, and then we're going to figure out which one of these we're going to use to do our pop pressure testing. So let's take the plug out of the end of our mock-up proof of concept. All right, one of these days I'll actually learn that things that are hydraulic are filled with hydraulic fluid. So before we start assembling this monstrosity we've decided to design, let's make sure that our fitting that we bought, and again those fittings are listed in the description below the video, let's make sure they're going to fit this line. So you'll note that the line has this inverted flare, I think that's what it's called. Anyway, and let's see if this is going to fit. Yep, the threads fit just fine. So the end of the fuel line fits really nicely into the fitting, so that's good. All right, we are good to go there. The threads on this are 12 millimeter by 1.5 pitch, and that's metric, of course. We need to put our adapter in. Actually, I think this is referred to as a bushing for whatever reason. I don't know why it's called a bushing, but if you look at it on the McMaster Car website, I believe that's what it's called. So this will take the 3/8 NPTF down to this thread, which I can't recall what the size is. Oh, you know what? Let's measure it. I think it's an 1/8. Let's see. So what you do is, if you want to figure out what size this thing is, you measure the outward edges of the threads, and I have 3/8 on this, and then you subtract 1/4. What does it leave you with? An 1/8. So this fitting is actually an 1/8. I just realized something. I need to put this in here first, and then put the whole thing into the pump. Let's get these two mated up here. Yeah, I'm thinking that is plenty tight. All right, we got our fittings tightened into the pump there. I think I'm going to use what appears to be the longest, straightest pipe out of this set. We're going to set this aside. Who knows, we might make another one someday and we'll need another piece of pipe. Just sort of snug that up like that. But this is the basic setup, right? So the next steps, we'll need to evacuate all of the hydraulic oil out of the cylinder and use diesel fuel. That means I'll need to go get some fresh diesel. I don't have any fresh diesel, so I'll need to go get some. I've seen where people have like a receptacle of diesel fluid outside of their pop pressure testing system. This reservoir, this hydraulic pump has a pretty large reservoir in it. I don't know why you wouldn't just fill it up, do some pop pressure testing, and maybe do a few pumps here and there, and then, just check it and then add some as you need it. I suppose, it would be kind of a hassle to, tap this and put a line in there when you could just maybe just have a jar of diesel in a funnel and just kind of fill it up every once in a while. That just seems simple to me. I like to keep things simple. I know it doesn't seem that way sometimes, but this time around, yeah. Anyway, all right, so I'm going to get some fresh diesel, fill this thing up, prime this pump with diesel, and try to get this thing ready to do some pop pressure testing on the fuel injectors in that car. All right, not the most elegant setup I've ever been accused of, but right now we're going to go ahead and fill this hydraulic pump up with diesel fuel. We got a fuel filter, hose, and a funnel right over there. And we have a red can full of fresh diesel fuel. Once we get this pump filled up, we will pump it a few times and evacuate the remaining hydraulic fluid. I've already removed most of the hydraulic fluid. It's got a green tinge to it, so once you see the green tinge start to dissipate from here, then you'll know that we have cycled all of it out and we're just using diesel fuel. Okay, I've got the pump filled up with diesel fuel. I will have to say this pump, it holds probably about 1/3 of a gallon. After we get through bleeding this thing, this hydraulic pump will have more than enough fuel in it to pop pressure test all 5 of our injectors. But right now, we're going ahead and loosen the knob there, and we're going to prime the pump. So about 20 strokes is what the manual calls for. All right, let's tighten it up. Whoa, look out. I will say, yep, I guess we got the air out of it. All right, so we got the air out of it, so let's... We are pumping diesel fuel, folks. That's really nice. I'm digging that. Let me pour this out. It's got a little green tinge in it from the hydraulic fluid. Stand by. I've got our little container cleaned out, and our goal is to make sure we don't see any green hydraulic fluid in here. It's probably so diluted with diesel fuel that it doesn't really matter. But as you can see, the pump is working very well. I'm really kind of shocked that I was able to get such a good deal on eBay. That is just a good clean diesel fuel, properly filtered with a Hengst, I might add. Folks, we're ready to do some pop testing. Up next, I'm going to go pull a fuel injector off of this motor. I'm not going to film that because you guys have seen that stuff a ton of times. So I'm going to get a fuel injector onto our test setup here, and let's get to work. Not the prettiest or most elegant setup you've ever seen, but I think it will prove the concept, and that is my goal. I have 2 goals: to balance my fuel injectors and to prove I can do it in a fashion that no one else is using. All right, so we've got our hydraulic hand pump, we've got our fittings, our gauge, salvage fuel line, and #1 injector out of our 300 SD. Just got it in a jar. You don't want atomized diesel fuel floating around in the air. Trust me on that one. You don't want me breathing that crap. So, all right, just got it sitting on a block, and I've got another block supporting this line. Just, you know, we don't want any undue stress on the line when we do our test. Got my goggles on. Let's do it, folks. Just shy of 2,000. Now that's a bit worrying. So if I press down on the pump hard, you know, just with aggression, it's the gauge doesn't go nearly up to 2,000. But if I go at it, if I do it easy, it started to pop. So it's popping, if I go easy, it's popping at just shy of 2,000. But if I go at it more aggressively, the gauge, I think the gauge, the glycerin in the gauge is not allowing the gauge to zoom up to the 2,000 as rapidly as it would need to when I pump it aggressively. So aggressive, you know, it pops way down there. But the gauge just can't move that fast. But if we go slowly, All right, so if we go slowly, I'm going to say that's 1950 is that injector number 1. All right, so 1950 is on the low side. The pressure, if you measure it in PSI for these injectors, is supposed to be 1958 to 2074. In bar, it's 135 to 143. So we're on the low side. So we are going to add a 0.1 millimeter shim to this fuel injector. So let's get this guy off of here. All right, so let me take this over to the vise and separate this. All right, I was just taking a look at our nozzle here. That's not very smooth. Not smooth at all. Let's clean that up a little bit. All right, I got the nozzle and the other parts soaking in some diesel fuel. We're going to add 0.1 millimeters to this. We can open up the little baggie without spilling everything. 0.1 millimeters. No, I'm not going to measure it. I'm going to trust the supplier. How about that? All right, I'm going to clean this up and get this fuel injector back together. After soaking in diesel fuel, this thing is supposed to slide down in there nicely, and I can feel it. See, it's the machining. I think this injector, it's a Farad made in Italy. I don't know. I'm just not too impressed with the quality, I don't think. I just don't feel good about the machine work here. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I don't think so. All right, well, I'm going to add the shim to it, see what the pop pressure is like, reinstall it, and I'm going to do the rest of the fuel injectors, and we'll just see what we get. Okay, I had to educate myself on this hydraulic hand pump a little bit on the pop pressure testing. You have to think about overcoming static friction forces. The fact that this pump can deliver a tremendous amount of pressure very rapidly. This is a 10,000 PSI pump. So if you're going to pop pressure test these diesel injectors, and they're supposed to pop at around 2,000, you got to be mindful of the fact that if you go too quickly downward, the gauge can't keep up. The pressure that this hydraulic pump can generate will overpower, this is just my theory, is overpowering these injectors. Because if I go too fast with this, if I pull this down too fast, it will surpass the spring's ability to pop in the injector, and it would just go psh, it'll just spray solid, right? But if you go slowly, it'll pop properly. So take a look at this, and you'll see what I mean. So I'm just going to go down quickly and listen to the injector. See, it didn't pop, it didn't really, it went psh, you know. See there, I went down really fast and hard. So, all right, now I'm going to go down slowly. We're going to keep an eye on the meter, on the gauge. All right, I'm coming up to 2,000. And if I go it really, really, really slowly, it won't pop until like, I don't know, 2,200, right? But if I bring it up to around 2,000 and then give it a little extra oomph, you'll notice that you get the good, solid, rapid fire popping at around the 2,050 mark. So let's go up to around 2,000, and then we're going to bear down a little harder on the pump. See that? Do it again. We're at about 2,000. Now we're going to bear down a little harder. Look at that. And it's popping. It's doing its rapid popping right about 2050. Now, if I were to bring it up to about, oh, let's say about 1800 and then bear down on it, it still goes up to 2050. Do that again. Take it up to about 1800. I'm going very slowly, and then I'm going to bear down on it. You get your nice popping action at just around 2050. Okay, enough of that. Using this extremely powerful hydraulic hand pump for diesel injector pop pressure testing is a little tricky, but it does work. So I added a 0.1 millimeter shim to that injector because it was popping actually around 1950. I'm going to call that good. We're going to move on to number 2. Oh, this injector is screwed. These nozzles are brand new, folks. They've only been in there a few weeks. Look at that. Look at that. It's just a fine, you probably can't see it inside the jar, but it's, when it's not popping, it's doing a fine stream. Yeah, that's crap, man. We got to take that one apart and see. Maybe we can fix it by just cleaning it. I don't know. Let's find out. Let's take it apart. All right, we're back together. Let's give it a shot and see what we have here, folks. All right, that's better. Kind of hard to see in that jar. Still getting a yeah, that nozzle's crap, man. I'm still getting a fine stream on occasion. All right, so let's take it up to around 2000 and then just lay into it. You get the pop, but I get a lot of solid stream too. So I think we found a major problem with the injector nailing that I've been hearing at idle. I thought it was coming from number 1, but really, I don't think so. I think it was coming now. I think it was coming from number 2. You know, it was coming from that vicinity. So, all right, well, I actually have a new one of these nozzles in the mail, but it's been on order for like 3 months. It's on back order, and I don't know when it's coming in. So, I'm going to have to give this some thought. So this one's trash. It's got to be replaced. Might as well do the rest of them. Let's move on. All right, number 3 is up. Let's see what happens. All right, we're just going to go easy and just see what happens. That popped at about 1900. Let's try again. It's popping around 1850 to 1900, somewhere in that neighborhood. It could go up a little bit, but this one seems to be all right. So let's take it apart, put a shim in it. All right, number 3 is back in the tester. We've got 2 shims because this one was popping around 1850. So we're going to see if we can get it up closer to 2000. Yeah, that was too much. Yeah, it's popping around 2300. Yeah, that's too much. Let's take that other shim out. It's popping around 2200. All right, number 3's back in the tester. We removed one of the shims. So we have the stock shim plus a single 0.1 millimeter. All right, I think I'm getting the hang of this hydraulic pump pop testing. It generates so much compressive force that you have to, if you go too aggressively, it will compress that spring. It will stay compressed, and you'll just get, psh, you know. So you got to hit the sweet spot with this thing. So we're right at 2000 or 2050. Yeah, you got to really hit the sweet spot. You cannot go too aggressively. I will say this, the service manual for the engine says if you use the traditional Mercedes testing device, it says to use even strokes, like 1 stroke per minute on the tester. 1, 2, so on and so forth, to, you know, to have a nice, solid, valid test. So you can see it's ending up there about 2050. I'm going to call that one done. We're going to move on to number 4. All right, number 4 is in the tester. Let's just ease into it and just see what... Ooh, man, that one's leaking down. I could feel it leaking down. I'm not sure what that was about. Let's remove our rag. Let's see if we have drips. Yeah, yes, I saw a little sliver of a stream there. Ever so slightly, a little bitty sliver of a stream that came before the pop. So that's not terrible. It's popping pretty good though. All right, so let's give it a good romp. Yeah, that's not real good. I'm getting too aggressive there. Slow down. All right, so that one is definitely at 1850. All right, so we're going to pull that apart, clean it up, put a shim in. If you go really slow, it likes to go to like 2200 with that extra shim in there. But that's not the way to do it. You're supposed to do it smoothly and somewhat quickly. So we're going to get to 2, and then we're going to go a little more aggressively. Let's see what we have. This one's a little interesting. All right, so I was able to... I think I'm getting some streams. Yeah. These ferrod injector nozzles are crap. Absolute crap. I can make it. I can make it pop properly, but I can also make it stream. So I'm just going to keep pressure up around 2000 psi. It's not dripping. Every once in a while, it just wants to stream a little bit. And we'll keep that one, even though I really don't like the reliability of it. All right, that one's popping around 2050 as well. Let's move on to number 5. We'll keep using this one. Number 2, however, is another story. Number 5, cleaned, reassembled, and with a shim in place. Let's see what we have. That was very promising. That looks to be about 1950 to 2000. I can make it pop, but it streams quite a bit as well. Well, this has been very telling, very informative. These ferrod, F-I-R-A-D, SD214 nozzles, Yeah, I'm not impressed. I tell you what, okay, well, enough of that. I'm going to put this one back in the car. Number 2 was pretty bad. I'm going to put it back in the tester and do a reevaluation on that one and see what I come up with. All right, let's put number 5 back in the car and put number 2 back in the tester and see what we have. All right, we're back together. I got all the injectors back in place. A couple of them like to stream every once in a while, but I got all of them to pop consistently around the 2,000 pound mark. Some at 2050, some at 2,000. I would say number 2 was really bad off before we started, but I've got it, at least it pops around 2,000 now. It streams sometimes. Injector nozzle replacements will be coming up pretty soon. I'll probably go with some Monarchs or maybe the Bosch. I'm not sure yet. But these Fiorod SD214s, I'm not too sure, man. So anyway, I just got through pumping up the old primer pump there about 100 times, and let's see what happens. Hello, folks. All right, let's get the air out of the system. What I'm going to do is go ahead and just pop each one of these real quick, you know, and then we'll try it again. Stand by. Take 2. All right, let's give it a second. All right, we'll give it a minute to get all the air out. Stand by. Let me, I'll pop each one of these real quick. Up, and then we'll take a little test drive. All right, it's a beautiful fall day in the southeast. The leaves are starting to change color. Pretty nice. So, you know, the initial indications, you know, so far, it seems to run fine. Whether or not we eliminated our little lope at idle, well, all I can tell you is I did not detect one in the driveway before I took off. So let's just see how this goes on our little test drive. Going up a pretty steep hill here. Shift down a little bit. I'm in third. It really drags going up a 60-degree hill in third, but that wasn't too bad, really. I don't know. I'm going to have to, you know, when you're dealing with a 123 horsepower engine, you know, whether or not you added or detracted from its power, it's it's a little hard to discern sometimes. So, you know, I'm just kind of tooling around here. So, all right, let me get back with you here in another minute or so. All right, we're getting a little heat in the motor now, so, you know, we're about 70, something like that. We're not quite up to operating temperature yet, but, you know, I think the engine is running smoother. That number 2, it was in pretty bad shape. When the first time I tested it, it was streaming all over the place, and it wouldn't hardly make, I don't know, it was popping at, right, you know, 1600 PSI, something like that. So I'm gonna sit here at the 3-way stop, and the idle seems to be a little smoother. And you know, taking off seems to be pretty good as well. And let's I'm doing 40. I'm gonna floor it and kick it down to third. You guys look out now. This is going to be really impressive. Shifted down to third really nicely. And we're speeding up. Pretty nice. And one last item about the pop pressure test setup that I made. Can you make a Mercedes diesel fuel injection pop pressure tester out of a hydraulic hand pump? You sure can. All you need is 3 or 4 parts. You need a T, a couple of bushings, and an adapter, and a gauge, and a fuel injection line off another car, and boom, you've got a pop pressure tester. You do not need to take a bottle jack and destroy it, drill holes in it, put JB Weld on it, hack it up, spend all that time and work trying to make a pop tester out of something that was never intended for that. The hydraulic pump already has everything you need. It has the port on the front. You just slap the adapters into it and a gauge, and away you go. And you just fill it up in the rear end. It holds like 1/3 of a gallon of diesel fuel. You just fill it up and just go. There's no reason to, have a tank and feed the diesel fuel to it, because the reservoir is plenty large, right? And of course I filtered the diesel fuel before I put it into the hydraulic hand pump. So there you go. All right, one more little tidbit here. Let's come to a stop and let's just see what the idle is like. It's pretty good. It's a lot better than it was. I will give you that. The pop pressure testing and the balancing of the fuel injectors did, in fact, help the idle quite a bit. Did it fix it completely? No, it didn't. I think that might be attributable to the injectors that I chose to install in the engine a while back, those Fiat ST SD214s. After what I saw during the pop testing with the various streamers, even after I cleaned the injector, got it back together, put a shim in there, got the pop pressure up to where it needs to be, I was still seeing streamers now and again. And I think those injectors they're just really not up to par for a Mercedes. They really aren't. So there you go, folks. I think that's going to be another video. We're going to yank those Fiat injector nozzles out of this 300 SD, and I think maybe we'll just go with the cream of the crop. We'll go with the Monarchs. So that'll be another day and another video. I appreciate you guys stopping by my channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to be notified whenever I release a new video, don't forget to click that little bell down below. You guys take it easy and enjoy driving your Mercedes, whether it idles well or not.